envy, brother.
Can't be serious granting them an audience. This is exactly the impression we don't want to give.
Please, Jamal. Don't you see how all this works in our favor? It's not up for discussion. I won't risk what we worked so hard to achieve. It's done.
No, you'd risk our future and reputation as a house. But you are the chosen elder.
Don't patronize me. The Great Serpent spared our house. We are favored here. And shouldn't you get back to the council? We can't afford to be absent at a time like this.
I guarantee I'm not missing much. But you're right. I'll be heading back soon enough. Something I can do for you? Your focus should be on Rasmus' needs and assisting House Kadik. I was on a walk, nearing Jinan Plaza. My view of the Citadel was clear. I saw the windows flood with light and then a flash so bright, I was forced to turn away. When I turned back, my eyes saw only a swirl of energy surrounding the Citadel and the crater that surrounded it. Don't take it personally. We have been through so much these last few weeks. The Council is attempting to claw back some semblance of order from the chaos, steer things past this somehow. And then Malabor goes and throws you into the middle of all this without even consulting us. It's just one more breach of a protocol that barely exists anymore. I am over it, I assure you. It is good to have you with us, and we are finally moving forward. All must serve.
So, Ekris has sent our newest adherent to inquire about Sahima. Don't worry, Jamal's already told me all about you. I'm Razma, Elder of House Kadik and head of the Ministry of Conjunction. House Kadik is one of the 3 noble houses under House Varun. We've a reputation on being the more moderate of the 3. Not as fervent as House Veth'aal, and not as passive as House Dolkef. We're also largely associated with the Ministry of Conjunction, since I lead the department. The Ministry of Conjunction is one of the 3 government branches of our society. We deal in information to ensure the High Council can make educated decisions. Most of our work is highly classified. Even the High Council itself may not be aware of all that we're involved in. Well, it's also an honor to meet one as interesting as yourself. I wouldn't have suspected an outsider to be made promised. But who am I to argue with the Great Serpent's choice? I understand, and I can't argue the importance. I know the Council is looking to Sahima for answers, but the truth is, she's been taken, along with other members of the House. They're being held hostage by Zealots, and now they're demanding negotiations. Because right now, this situation is a matter for the Ministry of Conjunction. As much as the Council thinks it's their business, it's not. At least not yet. They want Sahima, and we're trying to produce her. What happened to Dazra was a cataclysmic event. The city may seem in order now, but those first few days, it was chaos. And the Zealots took advantage. As much as I'd welcome the expertise, the Zealots would never allow an outsider to participate. But the negotiations aren't where I need assistance. The Zealots have yet to name specifics. At best, they'll demand an inordinate amount of credits or firearms. Worst case, a seat at the High Council, or even the reinstatement of their house. House Maleen, They know we can't risk Sahima for Dazra's sake. So, they won't hold back when it comes to demands. They had a house. House Maleen was abandoned a long time ago, but there are some who'd want to see it reinstated. House Maleen was fully dedicated to Jandar Varun. They objected when his brother, Jarek, was chosen to take over as leader. They knew he would bring an end to the Serpent's Crusade. It's why they abandoned their house and became the Zealots you know today, to continue what they believe is Jinan and Jandar's work. Jinan Varun had twin sons, Jarek and Jandar. Jandar fully supported the Serpent's Crusade, and to many in House Maleen, was the best suited to take over for his father. Aha. My thoughts exactly. Normally I'd have agents doing everything possible to find them. But we too suffered losses. We need to be here. Present. I couldn't risk more lives. It's the only reason I even agreed to these negotiations. But now that you're here, I can finally take action. And that's where the issue lies. I don't know where the Zealots are keeping Sahima, but I have a good idea who does. Their name is Merrick. Merrick is a Kadik, and they also work for me as an agent in the Ministry of Conjunction. This is where matters get complicated. Once I made the decision to go through with the negotiations, it wasn't necessary. Now that the situation has changed, well, that's going to be your job now. It's not the family name that complicates matters here. As I said, Merrick works for me in the Ministry of Conjunction. They've been establishing an inside relationship with the Zealots for some time now. On my orders. Forcing them to give up the information could jeopardize all they've worked for. So don't expect them to be forthcoming. Get the information any way you see fit. As long as no physical harm comes to them. The Zealots don't trust easily. If their location was discovered, Merrick would most likely be the first they'd suspect. They'd never trust them or any agent of House Kadik again. What better way to surveil a threat? It's important for us to know what the Zealots may be targeting to stay one step ahead. The people of Dazra look to us elders for strength and guidance. We cannot fail them at a time like this. Don't let my composure fool you, promised? It's neither easy, nor something I take lightly. Merrick is proud of what they've accomplished, so I doubt they'll give up information easily. If being persuasive isn't your strong suit, perhaps appealing to their substantial ego may help. If you can stomach it. Just don't be direct. I'm sure it would put them on the defensive. Either that, or make them completely unwilling to talk. See that you do. You'll find Merrick upstairs in the meditation room.
You're no member of House Kadik. What are you doing here? So you're the heretic turned adherent who thinks they're one of us now. So tell me, what would a chosen one such as yourself want with someone like me? Perhaps you need to lay off the Koza, my friend. You're talking nonsense. Absolutely ridiculous. Did she now? I guess this means the High Council is still asking Auntie Razma where Sahima is. And if you're here making demands, she obviously has decided to make use of you rather than undergo sincere negotiations. I see what's going on here. Well, I am one of the few to garner any amount of trust with the Zealots, so she should be. I can't imagine where the Ministry of Conjunction would be without me. I do have a natural talent. It's nice to see I'm being properly recognized. I may excel in my skills, but it doesn't mean the hours I put in are any less. Exactly. There's still research, analysis, documentation. Too much documentation, if you ask me. But altogether, I have the exact talents needed to do this job, which is why I was entrusted with the Zealots in the first place. I admit it hasn't always been easy. They are Zealots, you know. I see you're familiar with standard Zealot tactics. But it's really all about crafting the perfect scenario to encounter the right one. You don't just waltz up and say hello. It takes a great deal of surveillance and profiling to determine the right approach. The work, the strategies, that's all child's play for me. But being with the Zealots is a different story. Of course, it's gotten easier as I've gotten to know them, but it's a mental challenge whenever a new face is introduced. Some days, it takes everything. I can't even tell you how much time and effort it's been to sway the Zealots my way. Not to mention the stress over my own personal well-being. I may be the best at what I do, but I'm not stupid. The Zealots do have the element of unpredictability. I had a feeling this conversation was going to take a turn. I've worked hard to obtain my position with the Zealots. And like I've told Razma 1,000 times, I have no reason to believe they're going to hurt my dear cousins, especially Sahima. So, as far as I'm concerned, that information stays with me. As much as I'd like to help you, I don't think so. It is one of my many specialties. True, I am pretty good at misdirection. All right, I'll let you in on their location. But remember, you're the only one that knows. If word spreads, I'll know exactly who's to blame. The location you're looking for is Shadow Station Epsilon. It's an old Varun base that they've taken over for themselves. Razma will know it. Let her tell you the details, seeing as how I'm about to be reassigned. Isn't the answer obvious? The Zealots will know the location came from me. All that hard work thrown out the window because someone refuses to undergo negotiations. It better. Do your job well, and hopefully I'll still have one to go back to. That's just it. When I'm with them, It's like associating with anyone here in Dazra. They aren't the mindless fanatics people make them out to be. Granted, you have to get them to warm up to you first. But after that, it's just like having a friend in House Veth'aal. Sympathetic to the Zealot cause? No. But sympathetic to the people? Yes. I don't deny the Zealots are violent religious extremists. But that doesn't mean they are heartless, emotionless killers. They have families, and people they care for just like us. I see them as strongly misguided individuals that need help. Great Serpent keep you.
You must have gotten the location. I figured they wouldn't be completely forthcoming. If my intel is correct, you can find Shadow Station Epsilon in the Badlands, north of Dazra. I can send you the coordinates. Shadow Station Epsilon is one of many Zealot bases scattered throughout. As I mentioned before, I wasn't willing to risk agent lives in order to scout them all. Epsilon was once a research station, with a focus on grav drive manipulation. The Zealots have since vastly expanded upon it. But it makes sense if they intend to use Sahima to their advantage. The Shadow Stations were established during the Serpent's Crusade. A series of secret military installations that few knew about, and even fewer may remember. The idea was to have isolated centers focused on different aspects of furthering the Crusade. This way, if one fell, it wouldn't endanger the others. The sooner the better. Now that we have a rescue mission underway, I'll speak to Merrick about setting up the negotiations. I expect them to be pliable after their last encounter with you. The current plan is to hold them at one of the geothermal power stations. Meet us there when Sahima and the others are safe. It's a fairly neutral location, and just the right distance from Dazra, so both parties will feel safe. The geothermal stations are also autonomous in nature, so we don't have to worry about unwanted eyes and ears. If memory serves, it's southeast of Shadow Station Epsilon. It shouldn't be too hard to find. Good. Serpent willing, your timing will line up. I'll stall the Zealots as long as I can, which shouldn't be an issue. That being said, I'd still appreciate it if you could act quickly. Now, Jamal wants an update before you leave. Just don't let her distract you for too long.
Adherent, a word before you go. Tell me, Adherent, what do you know about the Zealots? An oversimplified observation, but correct nonetheless. The Zealots are widely frowned upon within our society. They're a remnant of the Serpent's Crusade, days we'd like to forget. Has my dear sister given you any history on our house's relations with the Zealots? I see. I should have expected as much. Razma would have everyone believe she only wishes to keep an eye on the Zealots, so the Council can make informed decisions. The truth is, she's had this particular group of Zealots under her thumb for quite some time. This is only a problem now because she's lost control. That is the real reason why Razma hasn't informed the High Council, and I'm sworn to silence. Yes, I'll get to that momentarily. House Kadik already has a reputation for being sympathetic to the Zealots, but the truth is far worse. Razma wants the Zealots to back House Kadik, so the balance of power between the noble houses would shift to us. She's been employing them, paying them in supplies that aid their blind crusade. There are several members who are sympathetic toward them or their cause. Some see beyond their extremist veneer and believe they're just misguided. A very small few may believe Jandar truly was the rightful heir, but none would ever admit it. I'm certain it's the case that members of the other houses feel the same. House Kadik is just the only one who's been exposed for it. Rasma would believe they want to reintegrate or even reestablish House Malene, and she's a fool for it. The Zealots want nothing but the means to carry out their war. Credits, weapons, and ships. And these very supplies would be used to harm not only your people, but our own as well. It's not for everyone. What none of us expected was the disaster that is the Scaled Citadel. The aftermath is what allowed the Zealots to grab Sahima and the others, flipping the balance of power in their favor. Razma has lost control and is putting House Kadik's reputation and power at risk. And that's what I wish to speak to you about. House Kadik shouldn't be associating with Zealots at all, except on an extermination level. But worse, we absolutely cannot be supplying them with ordnance of any kind. We need to cut ties with the Zealots altogether. Not unless you want to be considered one yourself. I want you to put an end to any connections between House Kadik and the Zealots. And while my position won't allow me to be blunt, I'll still make it clear. Should the hostages not survive, Rasma would blame the Zealots and cut all ties. What we need is Sahima's research, which she has with her. You just need to bring it back. Think about it if you must. But if you care about your people, you'll come to the same conclusion as I have. And when you do, just know that we can't afford any loose ends. No witnesses. As far as everyone else is concerned, the hostages were dead when you arrived, and you exacted revenge in House Kadik's name. Zealots are unpredictable, and their passion to their cause often makes them prone to violence. Whether the Zealots believe it or not matters little, but Rasma certainly will. I trust you'll make the right decision. Until then, I'll see you at the negotiations. May the Great Serpent bless you. I wish it were the case. This is an ongoing point of contention with my sister, and it never changes. Rasma and I come to agreement, something happens that makes her reconsider, and we're right back where we started. This is why extreme measures are necessary. Only something truly horrible will force her eyes to remain open. Rasma and I are normally quite agreeable. We've always been like-minded ever since we were young. It's the reason we were groomed for the positions we currently hold. The Zealots are what divide us, much like they divide our house as a whole. I remember it well. Zealots attacked a Highlands growth farm. A weapon left behind was one used in payment for a recent operation. Rasma could accept it as collateral damage. I could not. An innocent family died that day. And it opened my eyes to the greater consequences of working with Zealots. Many within the Ministry of Conjunction are aware of the division. They wouldn't be good envoys otherwise. And yes, it does affect them. When you aren't united, the cracks begin to show. The dissidence grows. Rumors begin to circulate and trust is called into question. Our envoys should know better. But that's how we ended up with the current narrative that House Kadik is sympathetic toward the Zealots. We use similar tactics to navigate the complex waters of Varun society. But most importantly, we share the same ideologies when it comes to House Kadik and the people of Dazra. There is no progress without change, and Dazra stagnates in old tradition. Perhaps your arrival in the Scaled Citadel incident, awful as it was, will serve as a catalyst to finally advance our society. What do you want to know? The oversimplified answer is yes. The two may be synonymous, but house politics will always take precedent. House Kadik is a symbol, a noble house, and its members are held to a higher standard with greater responsibility. Serpent guide you.
are you? Serpent's Grace, I knew it! I knew she wouldn't just leave us here to rot. It's more than just me. There are others. The Zealots have been using them to force me to continue my research here. They think I have all the answers since the original experiment was a catastrophic failure. The original experiment? The one that took out half of Dazra and sealed off the Scaled Citadel? Surely you must know. I'm sorry. I realize the Elders and Council members may not be properly disseminating this information. I'm not one for politics, obviously. Well, the Zealots think they are forcing me to continue my research here. They want me to apply my theories to Anasco's Scaled Citadel debacle. Somehow they ascertained my previous involvement. So my theory is correct. Or I should say, the High Council now believes my theory, the better theory, is correct. I knew it! I told them their algorithms and insufficient testing were only giving the illusion of stability. But no one wants to listen to me. Not the girl who put people twice my age to shame when it came to assessments. Of course, this is what it would take for Razma to send someone after me. I'm only family by name. I overheard the Zealots mention negotiating with House Kadik, so the motivations are clear. Not only does the High Council deem me important, but Razma needs to remove me from the equation. I get it. But at least now everyone knows I was right. All right. First, we need to free the other hostages. The Zealots aren't aware of how I've been delving into their systems here. I told them I needed full access if they expect me to replicate Anasco's experiment, and I didn't even bother with risk assessment. They think I'm applying my theories to their poor excuse for technology down here. Well, yes and no. The other hostages are being kept just beyond this room. I can disengage the locks to their cell and grant you access to an elevator in the room beyond that will take them to safety. You just have to clear out that area first, and the Zealots down there are... different. The Zealots you'll encounter beyond here are... altered somehow. To be made thus would be to show them the Great Serpent's mercy. I pray your confidence is well justified. While you get the rescue underway, I'm going to set up I'm more than capable of handling myself. Besides, the Zealots think they need me, so my life isn't in danger. If I'm not out there when you free the hostages, just come back for me. The Zealots have a small network here that I can plug into. They think I've been working on my research, when really, I've been formulating a virus that will shut down this entire base. And their ships. And a well-thought-out one at that. I just need enough time to set up a remote device so I can launch a virus that will render this place useless. Think of it as a failsafe to guarantee our safety. The Zealots would never risk this base or their ships. You sure will. arrived?
Who are you?
Are you here?
You aren't a zealot. Who are you? The Great Serpent is merciful. And Tahima? Did you find her yet? We haven't been able to observe much. They are physically superior, stronger, faster. They ignore pain and are resistant to things that would take any normal person down in an instant. I'm not sure what the Zealots have done to create them, but I would surmise the process was less than pleasant. I wish it were that easy. The Zealots separated us. Our brethren are still out there. Please, I can ready my people here, but you'll have to deal with the Zealots and rescue the others so we may all escape safely. Another Redeemed is stationed down there, along with a few other Zealots and a Model S. Be careful. We'll be ready.
The Great Serpent himself must have sent you.
I thought we were dead. Thank you.
Thank you. We owe you our lives.
Serpent bless you for saving us.
Great Serpent was truly watching over. I can't thank you enough for saving us. By the Serpent, you did it! By the Serpent, you did it!
I still can't believe we're free.
I can't wait to see Dazra again.
The Great Serpent was truly watching over us.
Serpent bless you for saving us.
Dead. Thank you.
I never thought I'd leave that wretched place.
I can't thank you enough for saving us.
The Great Serpent himself must have sent you.
The Great Serpent was... I can't thank you enough for saving us.
Great Serpent, save me. The Great Serpent has heard me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is this... Thank the serpent. I thought I was done for.
That's everyone accounted for. You did it! It's true what they say. The air really does smell fresher.
Serpent bless you. We owe you our lives. Thank you.
Yes, since that's truly what's important here. Anyway, it's probably time you started heading to those negotiations. I'm going to stay back a moment and make sure everyone here is okay to make it back safely. I'll catch up with you shortly. Just let me know where the negotiations are taking place. Of course. I successfully rigged a remote device to shut this whole place down the moment I see a zealot. I just need a moment to make sure everyone is fine. Don't worry. Razma came through for me. It's only fair I return the favor. I'll be there when it counts. Now go.
By the serpent, you did it.
Don't worry, I'll be there. They're dangerous. I've only caught glimpses of them and hacked into a few messages regarding them, so I don't know much myself. They've been altered somehow. Cybernetics? Mental and physical conditioning? I couldn't say without examining one for myself. I'm not exaggerating when I say they'd be better off made dust. They think I'm the key to opening the gateway to the Great Serpent. For them, it's both a race against House Va'ruun, and also proof that they were right, that Jandar was Genon's rightful heir. Luckily, none of them are scientifically minded enough to know I spent all my time delving into their systems and developing a virus. I may have the Kadik name, but I've never felt like a true part of the family. House Kadik prefers agents and envoys for the Ministry of Conjunction. Scientists take a back seat. Without all this drama, I'd be willing to bet she couldn't even remember my name. This virus I've been working on will overload every major system within Epsilon. Not only that, but any ships that they worked on here within the past few days will get hit as well, as long as they're within range.
Is your intent to be unreasonable the whole time? I thought this was a negotiation.
We're having a friendly chat, aren't we? It's not my fault you don't find my offers acceptable.
Nah, just the person I wanted to see. Please tell me you bring good news. And I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
Razma, who is this? You allow any commoner to just waltz in on official business. I'd expect better security from House Kadik.
This is hardly official business.
Yes. And now these so-called negotiations are over.
Over? You'd risk everything after the whispers of a stranger. I demand to know who this is. You're no one. Only a complete fool would expect me to believe this.
It's true, Mihail. And if you don't leave now, peacefully, I'll make sure your ships and Shadow Station Epsilon are made dust.
You... How did you... You're bluffing.
Test me. You think a genius mind like mine wouldn't find a way to hack into every system in your base? This remote device will launch a virus that will detonate systems within Epsilon, and reach your ships as well.
You realize how this may affect future partnerships, Razma. You'd jeopardize our connections.
It jeopardizes nothing. It merely restores the natural order.
The natural order. I could take you all out here and now. You know every one of us is prepared to answer the Serpent's call.
You're so willing to sacrifice your allies at Shadow Station Epsilon?
You don't think they're as prepared as we are? We all answer the call, and if that day is today, so be it. No, but it's the death they know is possible. Besides, you think I'd turn my back on the insults thrown here today?
You mean, do we think you'd throw away your life? And the lives of everyone at Shadow Station Epsilon over your pride, Mihail? No, I for one don't think you will. And you can't deny our partnerships have been beneficial for us both.
We'll see about that. My brethren were willing to die for our cause. You think we're not prepared to make the same sacrifice? You couldn't sound more scripted. Violence isn't always the answer. Enough talking! This ends now.
Another feast for the Great Serpent.
May the Great Serpent bless you.
House Kadik is in your debt.
As am I. I owe you my life.
Sahima, you are a part of this house.
I know. I just wanted to say thank you. Personally. And here, it's the research and algorithm the High Council wants. I'm sure they'll appreciate it more coming from you. Oh, I am. Very. I just don't think the High Council is ready for the series of I told you so's that I would surely inundate them with. Plus, I think I'll wait until after they've proven out my theories to approach them on that topic. I'm going to head back home now to check on the others, but maybe come find me later? Great. You can find me at the Great House whenever you get the chance.
We'll talk later, Sahima. As I was saying, House Kadik is in your debt. You've helped me maintain a very precarious balance. And one day it will. But until then, they're a necessary evil. One that we'll be keeping a much closer eye on. I'd appreciate it if you kept this a secret. Good. The others involved know better than to speak of this. House ties run deep. Betraying one's house is a display of disloyalty that no house would tolerate. It's a guaranteed way to ostracize yourself in a society like ours. As much as it disappoints me, I can't say I'm surprised. Jamal's never cared for our view with the Zealots. And she has no love for those taken. But this is what makes her an excellent mediary. A mediary is another title for a member of the High Council, whose job it is to represent their house when the Elder cannot. My duties are to House Kadik and the Ministry of Conjunction. I trust Jamal to properly represent our views at the High Council. I know so, and wouldn't expect an outsider, promised or not, to understand. Now, I have much to do, and so do you. Ekris and the High Council will be expecting you.
We have nothing to discuss here. I'll see you back in Dasra. As far as I'm concerned, the High Council does know because I'm on it. Should any topics arise regarding the Zealots, I can guide our decisions appropriately. If the others found out, it would be a very tiresome and lengthy conversation. Although lecture is probably the better word. But I hope you're wise enough to keep our house matters private. Adherent?
Be quick, Adherent. Ekris awaits. It won't take long before the Zealots hear of this. They'll posture and protest, but when I need them, they'll come around. The Zealots don't exactly have a reliable supply chain, unless you count preying on others. If you ask me, it's her analytic mind that can't stop dwelling on things that don't matter. I care about all members of House Kadik, regardless of how they came to join us. Blood, marriage, adoption, we are all family. I value our great scientific minds, but my focus lies in the Ministry of Conjunction, and I think that's what she's come to dwell on. There's nothing I could say that hasn't already been said. The human mind can develop the strongest beliefs over the smallest observations. When it comes to noble houses, family and politics are practically synonymous. But I'm familiar with your point of view, and it's easier said than done. A house elder's responsibilities extend to all the people of Dasra. We can't focus on each individual under our purview. So, we focus on our responsibilities that encompass and protect them all. A different kind of zealot? Altered? It's disturbing to think of zealots delving into some form of physical enhancement. I'll make sure the other members of the Ministry are aware of it. We'll want to make sure we're prepared, should we begin to see more of these altered zealots you speak of.
I'm sure I echo Rasma's sentiment when I say this business stays between us.
I saw a Nazco took measure of his burdens.
What you are describing is a dream, nothing more.
Not a dream. A message from the great serpent himself.
With all due respect to your craft, dear sister, now is not the time for incense and ash leaves. Or do you not see the depth of the crater before you?
On the contrary, brother. I see it for what it truly is. And if we ignore this vision, a Nazco will be lost to us forever.
Enough with the proselytizing. The adherent has returned. Ah, were you able to find Sahima? Perfect. I have no doubt Sahima's work is the key to stabilizing the morning device. If only the others had listened to her, we may not have lost so much of our great city. This leaves houses Dul Kef and Veth'aal.
Politics can wait. Every moment we delay, a Nazco descends further into the void.
For the last time, Faith will not remove the barrier. Science will.
It is the hubris of science that failed you in this moment. We reached out to the Great Serpent. This is his reply.
You claim he has forsaken us?
I do no such thing. The Great Serpent's reply is not an answer, but a question. Are we worthy of his grace? Until that is proven, your works will not succeed.
It sounds like you agree with me.
And yet, only one is the foundation for the other. But the proof is not in our words. It is in the vision. Anasco's presence still persists in this world, and he seeks our aid.
Fine. I feel like I've lived this argument 1,000 times, and the only way to move past it is to concede to its nonsense. Adherent, speak to my sister. Agree to her fool's errand, so that we may continue the work of saving this city. My sister is stubborn, bordering on obstinate. Sadly, we have no choice but to yield to her request. I think it's foolishness, but not nearly as foolish as trying to convince her of this fact. Of course. We agree on most things, actually. Save the one. And before you label me a heretic, it's not the power of the divine or the breadth of his influence that I question. It's simply the manner in which he wields it that is a point of contention.
I have seen visions of Anasco, searching for one bold enough to enter the heart of the vortex. And now that you are here, I know your arrival was no accident, but rather providence. The Great Serpent has guided you here. From the moment you found the Oracle to the words I speak to you now. Well put. The Great Serpent's works are imperceptible, even to heralds like myself. But rest assured, all will be revealed when you journey north. At the edge of the crater, you will find a cave carved by the anomaly. There, you will make contact with Anasco Varun. The Great Serpent has blessed me with the sight, and I have seen events there that are only now beginning to take shape. It is as the Great Serpent foretold. In my visions, I witnessed two futures. In the first, you breached the scaled citadel, but found Anasco had sunk too far into the void. And in time, all of Dazra was consumed along with him. The anomaly spread, absorbing all in its path. The crater you see now is nothing compared to the destruction looming ahead. Indeed, but there is another path. In the second future, I saw you make contact with Anasco, entering a cave through a formless wall. At its terminus was a gate, a path into the realm where our speaker resides. You stepped into this void, and in that moment, something changed. The false future, rewritten.
Roughly speaking, it could be that entering the vortex directly would allow you to speak with him. And while my readings do not show any anomalous activity, I admit there's a lot of interference. Still, that only emphasizes the potential danger involved here. I cannot approve of such an excursion on the minute chance Anasco is present. Not in the way you and I speak, but in crude terms, yes, provided you manage to maintain your own sanity through the process. But this is all purely theoretical. No one has ever entered the vortex and come back. The closer one ventures to the heart of the anomaly, the closer they are to the phantoms and horrors that lie within. Moreover, if this cave was cut open by the Calamity itself, then it is an unnatural formation and highly unstable. I am no heretic, but to risk so much on a vision, it is a leap of faith I cannot condone. I will not stand in your way, however, as Inaza has stood in ours.
You may not realize it now, dear brother, but our goals are one and the same. It was a winding cave, scattered with walls of dark energy. At the end, a rip in the fabric of reality. In my vision, I saw you step forward, slowly, following the sound of Anasco's voice. I could hear him calling to you in the distance. His words were jumbled, but as you drew closer, they started to assemble. I was thrust out of the vision before I could see the end. No, it was born from the incident itself, but I believe it is there. And what is faith but to give form to the formless? As a herald, it is my duty to make real what is unseen. Then you must embark to the northern edge of the crater. You will find an entrance there, one that has no form. Step through it, find Anasco, and complete the vision. Only then will his voice be heard. Go to the cave in my vision, near the edge of the crater. If my vision is true, you will find him there. The High Council supports the Speaker on matters practical and political. Heralds like myself provide spiritual and philosophical guidance. Together with the Speaker, we work to divine the intent of the Great Serpent and to spread his message to the people of House Va'ruun. And, as time permits, I make myself available to the people of Dazra for the same guidance. I exist to serve, as do we all. It would be a true shame if, in the face of adversity and tragedy, the people turn away from the Great Serpent. In times of crisis, that is where the Great Serpent shows himself most. He guides us to seek community, empowers us to rebuild better and stronger, encourages us to find a newfound faith in him. I pray the people of Dazra see that it is not a time for fear or doubt. It is acceptable to grieve what we have lost, but we must not let that grief poison our minds. It is my hope that people will turn towards and not away from the Great Serpent. Through him, we can rebuild a better Dazra, forged in a blazing fire of faith and community. Of course. Great Serpent, with eyes of galaxies, scales as brilliant as shimmering stars. Fill us with holy purpose, so that we may stand beside you in the void of eternity. Kill all our fears and doubts. Show us that only through you can true peace and contentedness be achieved. All must serve. My scrying ability has always been limited, but potent. Rarely am I blessed with a vision, but when I am, they are decisive. It often depends on the herald. Some spend their whole life sorting through visions. Others may only get one in a lifetime. It is an unnatural thing. A hollow space dug into the backbone of the world. And the horrors that call it home do so for a reason. I take no comfort in asking you to make this journey. It is only because I understand its importance that I do. Go on and continue to fulfill your holy purpose.
I speak into this void, and it answers with silence. Have you abandoned me, Great Serpent? Do you not hear my pleas? You understand me? Hear my voice. But I do not know you. I hesitate to ask, but what manner of being are you? Do you truly serve his will? Yes, he works through you, and built the path to guide you to me. I have reached out so many times, to hear nothing but echoes. Yet you, an outsider, hear me plain. And for the first time, I hear you. Clearly your arrival here is fated. By stepping into this void, we are now linked. There is still reason to hope. The Great Serpent will see us through. But time is short. The bridge collapses. The gate is still open. The experiment still runs. Find me in the Scaled Citadel. I will wait for you there.
Your life, your purpose, has been forever changed. You return. What news do you have of Anasco? Then my vision did not betray me.
Well, it would seem I owe you an apology, sister.
There is no need, brother. Your skepticism only strengthens us.
As you say. But, to the matter at hand, did Anasco mention anything that could aid us in his extraction? Yes, the pinnacle of the Citadel was modified to house the equipment to create a gate to the Vortex. If it still runs, that would explain everything we have experienced since the initial incident.
It is much more than that. Normally when I pray for Anasco's return, I sense he is lost, fading. But when I last prayed to the Great Serpent, I felt Anasco's presence clear and distinct. Even as it receded, I felt him anchored to this world. Yes, there are some who suggest that when Jinan communed with the Great Serpent, a similar bond had been established. I believe the same is true for you and Anasco.
I would need time to attempt a scientific explanation for why or how this happened, but for now, let us assume my sister is correct.
And that is the essence of faith. I do not know what lies ahead. My visions do not go beyond this point. But I do know this link would play a role. In fact, I am certain of it.
Agreed. And with this settled, we can now continue the work of aligning the noble houses. Together, we will find a way to complete the mourning device.
What an honor. Let the Great Serpent forever guide.
Great Serpent, guide.
Malibor we trust.
You do not have approval to trade with me. Sorry, but you will have to get approval before you can buy any weapons from me. Apologies, but you're not clear to purchase from me yet.
Promised. To not fully dedicate is to risk the path of the opponent. This is foolish, Victor.
The incident was a terrifying show of the
If we hope to restore the city, your inability to provide a legitimate excuse for denying them will only last so long.
Victoria is right. I know you're angry, but you can't let personal matters interfere with what may be best for everyone.
Personal matters? This is a Ministry of State matter, and I will handle it as I see fit. He is a traitor. He turned his back not only on his family, but on our people's entire belief system. The fact that he still breathes is a stain upon the House Veth'aal name.
You would doom us all with your pride.
I will do as I please as head of this house. If you are not a member of House Veth'aal, you do not belong here. Another High Council lackey come begging? I told Lovick no more!
Forgive my brother. He has been forgetting his manners of late. Victor, this is Anasco's chosen. You recall Lovick sent word.
I recall he spoke of a newly anointed promised. And we do not need help, especially from an outsider.
You can't continue to refuse the council. You must act. Your inaction is killing you.
Precisely, which is why he leaves me no choice but to say this. My nephew Varric has left, and until he returns, Victor refuses to assist the council.
These are hardly matters for the ears of an outsider. And who are you to tell me what is vital and what is not? You
are an outsider. You have no understanding of our house.
Is this not the opportunity you've been looking for, brother? A third party capable of finding Varric?
Yes, you said so yourself. Someone with no loyalties to speak of. And if he's become promised, truly his arrival is more than coincidence.
Serpent, give me strength. You both speak true. Perhaps I have reacted in haste. Tell me, adherent, are you well practiced in discretion? Then perhaps you are more promising than I initially thought. As Victoria mentioned, my son, Varric, has left. Essentially, he has abandoned his post. And not only did he turn his back on his house, but the Great Serpent as well. He is a traitor and must be dealt with as such.
Victor, surely you don't mean it.
He does, Luther. He is allowing his fervent pride and anger to cloud his judgment. What my brother is trying to say is that he wishes his own son dead. First, we lose Vashti to that malignance tearing through Dazra. And now you so willingly offer up Varric. As if our house has not suffered enough loss already.
I will not speak of her with an outsider, promised or not. Your focus is solely on Varric. My son denounced the very faith that defines Va'ruun's society. He dared to blame Anasco for the state of Dazra. Dared to call our faith in the Great Serpent blind. It is heresy and punishable by death. Because he let his weakness get the better of him. He sees himself as a prisoner in this life. He runs from a duty that others would spend their lives coveting. He is my son. He does not get to choose. He was born to inherit my title, and he knows the punishment for refusing to honor it. Of course it would. As someone from the settled systems, you have no concept of what the Great Serpent demands of us. I do not wish Varric dead, but as head of the Ministry of State, he left me no choice. All must serve. Those who refuse will be met with death. Our duty as wardens is to keep the populace tasked and loyal. All must serve, both the Great Serpent and House Va'ruun. No exceptions. Those who refuse must be cleansed to stop the spread of corruption. I will not have it known that I declared my own son a heretic and allowed him to escape our grasp. This knowledge weakens the Ministry of State's authority, something we cannot risk at this time. This is why my interest turned to a third party, someone outside of the noble houses, but we have yet to determine someone trustworthy enough. Until now. The shame Varric brought upon this house is immeasurable. It stains the very foundation. I will not act until this house is in order and its members are properly aligned with the Great Serpent. Exceptions show weakness, and we cannot afford to show weakness at a time like this.
We have done the same for less. You act as if death is the only answer. What about forgiveness?
I will not risk the Ministry's authority on the actions of my own son, even if he is my chosen heir. If the High Council wants my cooperation, I need you to find Varric and carry out his sentence.
And I would ask you to spare him. My brother is acting under impulse, not reason.
I have never been more clear. Speak against me one more time, and you will regret it. Varric has a signet ring with House Veth'aal's family crest. Bring it to me as proof of death. Only then will I grant you access to the power grid. See that you get it done. I recommend you start by speaking to patrons of the Herald's Rest. Some of Vedic's associates there may know where he went, but keep in mind, anyone who has directly aided him in hiding is an accomplice and shares his fate. The Herald's Rest is our local bar, and unfortunately, my son's favorite establishment to frequent. And while I know a bar isn't the ideal place for discretion, I still expect you to keep these matters private. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Veth'aal. See to it you do. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Veth'aal for personal reasons. I will not risk word of his disappearance getting out before I can say the situation has been handled.
I, too, would ask you spare Varric. Victor is in no condition to be making such decisions. Whatever happened to Dazra, our home was taken along with it. Victor felt the keep was the most logical place to stay until more long-term plans were able to be made. The Ministry of State oversees military and security, so we already have established offices here. Vashti was Victor's daughter. We lost her in the accident. She and Varric were very close. She was his anchor and voice of reason. I truly believe if she was still with us, Varric would be too. Varric is a dreamer who let his fascination with the settled systems get the best of him. You could always tell his heart wasn't into learning about Va'ruun society, noble houses, ministries, Dazra. He was a devout student, but none of it interested him. The only lessons that truly fascinated him were about space and exploration. Our house was taken during the incident. Our losses are great. Vashti being foremost in our minds. Excuse me. I'd rather not speak about it. You don't know Victor Veth'aal. He may be the most stubborn man in Dazra next to Anasco Va'ruun himself, but that doesn't mean we won't try. He adores Varric, and if he died without reconciling their differences, I think it would break him. He never got to say goodbye to Vashti, and he hasn't taken it well. Until next time.
Remember, Adherent, that I would ask you to spare my nephew. As a high-ranking member of the Ministry of State, I fully support the policies. But I also recognize these circumstances are not normal. Exceptions must be made in trying times. Varric was an obedient child. Quiet. Always absorbed in his studies to please his father. But the two have clashed ever since Varric sacrificed his growth. He found his voice that day, and to Victor's dismay, he wanted no part of being elder. All Va'ruun children raise a growth, and when they come of age, they sacrifice it. It is our way of solidifying our connection with the Great Serpent. All must serve, and our dedication to him comes above all else. Victor was too lenient with him when it came to Varric's free time. As strict as he was, he allowed him the freedom to associate with whomever he wanted. I think too much time at the Herald's Rest showed Varric a different life is possible, when it's not. Not for him. Victor's pride and belief in tradition will not allow it. He sees Varric's refusal to inherit the role of Elder as an insult, and many would share that view. Varric is conflict-averse. Pressure, responsibility, stress, he avoids them like the plague. He wants everyone's approval, and as Elder, that is an impossible task. I believe it is why he has fled. He made his final stand against his father, and rather than face the disapproval, he disappears. What would you like to know? Victor is letting his emotions get the better of him. He was barely processing the shock and grief from losing Vashti. Then came the anger and betrayal from Varric. My brother is a man of pride and great faith. For the first time, I think he does not know what to do. But I am certain Victor does not wish Varric dead. Is it not obvious? He has given you the perfect out, the ring. Yes, Varric would be loath to part with it. It belonged to his sister and is all he has left. But to save his life? To save her brother? Vashti would give him her blessing to hand it over if you asked. This is why I ask you to spare him. As head of the Ministry of State, Victor feels he has no choice. He believes he is trapped by his own faith and duty. If he makes an exception for his son, and the truth comes out, people will see it as weakness. They will question the Ministry of State's authority, which means they are questioning him. Something his pride would never risk. On the other hand, going through with it, announcing it to the public, that solidifies the Ministry of State as a force to be both feared and revered. And I pray I have answers for you. Vashti was my niece. Victor's daughter. Varric's sister. We lost her to the devastation that took half of our great city. Victor will barely speak of her. I think he cannot reconcile the loss with his faith. The Serpent guide you.
If the Great Serpent truly watches over us, you'll bring Varric home. So many lives lost. Adherent.
You have a job to do, Adherent. Get it done. If you feel it will help. Varric was devout, although he lacked an enthusiasm. There is only one fate for those who would denounce the Great Serpent. When a promise is lost, they must be made penitent, and it is the Ministry of State's duty to see their sentence through. Varric would believe he is above his duties as House Veth'aal's heir. He speaks of his own freedom when he was born to guide the people of Dazra. He runs from his duty, which means he runs from the Great Serpent himself. Varric has nothing to do with the power grid, but everything to do with the integrity of House Veth'aal. I will not act until I have purged my house of this stain. Good. You have... Are you here to help or question my every decision? You think I would prefer to see my own son's severed head? The ring is unique. A gift from his sister, and all he has left of her. It will be enough. Great Serpent keep you.
If the Great Serpent truly watches over us.
All I am saying is that I am not... I am grateful for the downtime. Quite
What do you want, brother? Is it time to resume our duel? No.
I was foolish, Amila. The duel is off, and it should never have happened to begin with. The truth is that when the duel was sabotaged, I had never felt so relieved in my life. I do not want to kill you. I am ashamed to have ever challenged you. I am sorry. I understand if you never want to speak with me again. I am disgusted in myself.
Oh, come now, brother. I deserved it all. You have shown me nothing but patience for years. But even the patience of a saint can run out.
No jokes, Amila, please. I just want you to know that
I am sorry. I am too. I will try to be better. I cannot make any promises. All I can say is that I will try. I want to make things right with you, with everyone. But I just do not know where to start. It is all right. One thing at a time.
Not looking for company right now. This railing is taken. And no, I'm not looking for company. Oh, of course. Who would be looking for me anyway? And why should I know anything about the heir apparent? I'm nobody. Ask him yourself, if you find him.
What can I say? Nobody makes a drink like you do. Come now. Just one more drink?
Do I?
I do not wish to say goodbye to
Perhaps at one point, I thought I did. Varric. One day we're inseparable, and the next, I've searched all of Dazra for him. But he's gone. Couldn't even leave a note. That means he either doesn't want to be found, or... well, I prefer not to think about it. So, what if I did? Like I said, he doesn't want to be found. Really? You're right. You're right. Yes. And I sure got yelled at plenty of times for being places I shouldn't. Enough of this. Please leave me alone. I don't want to think about him anymore.
We lost a lot of good people to the Vortex. Bar seems much emptier. Quieter. Oh, what do you want? Can't you see I'm busy?
Another one for me, Jenna. It's been a hard day.
You and me both.
Seems it has been one hard day.
The worst thing that can possibly happen
No relief on the
happens. And then he disappears. I mean, come on. We're supposed to be friends. Okay, maybe it's not the worst thing, but look around you. It's almost post-apocalyptic, so... second worst possible thing that could happen. Worst thing being if none of us survived at all. That's what I thought. You'd think B would at least be commiserating with me. But I'm suddenly too drunk to deal with. Some friend she is. All she cares about is Varric. Huh? Oh, B's a friend. Or maybe was a friend. Yeah. Me, B, and Varric makes 3. Figured we were friends till the end. Oh, not you too. That's the last thing I need. I just want Varric to show up so things can get back to normal. Whatever that is. No, I can't. Tane! He mentioned talking to Tane one day about getting off-world. Seeing the settled systems. We never thought he was serious, and even if he wasn't... Tane still might know something. Tane's a regular. I'm sure he'll be by any minute if you just want to take a seat. I can't believe he'd run off at a time like this.
Great Serpent, please help me. I am
to keep busy, lest you lose your purpose as well as your home. Some koza to lift your spirits?
Drink or two ought to lighten this.
Can I get you anything?
Another day in Dazra. Hey, aren't you that outsider made promise that showed up here recently? Impressive. Since these people really aren't into strangers, especially in times like these. I'm an outsider myself. It's hard to get into the whole giant snake thing. You could say I'm like a specialized delivery service, moving stuff back and forth between Dazra and the settled systems. Just so happens I got a lot of time on my hands since Dazra went to hell and I lost my ship. And let me tell you, I thought things were grim before. Whatever that incident was, this whole planet's gonna need therapy. Tell me about it. I've been toting stuff back and forth for these people for years and still get the cold shoulder most places I go. But then these people lose half their city and you show up, and suddenly it's divine intervention. It sure has, to say the least. Anyway, enough about that. What can I do you for? Veth'aal, huh? That's no small name around here. Well, I guess that depends, adherent. Who wants to know? I consider Varric a bit of a friendly acquaintance. I know enough about the guy to care about his physical well-being, if you know what I mean. Oh, sure. You just show up out of the blue and suddenly want to know where to find House Veth'aal's #1 son? And I know he wasn't lost to whatever ate up half of Dazra. Plenty of people have seen him since. Although, let's just say after what went down here, my retirement's looking imminent, and I haven't exactly been saving up for a rainy day. So if you're feeling generous, maybe we can help each other out. Nice to see we operate on the same wavelength. I'm pretty sure he's heading into the Highlands. Just not sure where. But I do have the means to track him. So you just say the word and we're off to the races. You make it sound creepy. But yeah, for emergencies. Highlands region is the northwest side of Dazra. Pretty good area if you don't want to be easily found. After you. Once we're outside of Dazra, I'll fire up my tracker, and fingers crossed, it'll lead us right to him. Just head out the west gate, should be the fastest route. Hope nothing bad's happened to Varric. I hate to think the worst, but it's always gnawing at you.
Are you doing all right?
Oh, this whole thing? Well, truth is, I made a deal with Varric a while back. The guy isn't exactly keen on being cooped up in Dazra. Wants to see what the galaxy has to offer. So I told him when he's ready, pick a safe spot somewhere outside of Dazra, and I'll go get him. Well, I can't guarantee it, but I've got a hunch. If he's run off, wouldn't you take the only thing that could help get you off this planet? Yeah, Varric's a bit of a free thinker. Poor kid appealed to dear old dad on a few occasions, but Victor's having none of it. Hey, no way I'm running the risk of getting caught smuggling Veth'aal off-world. The moment anyone catches wind of that, I can kiss my life goodbye. Let's hear him. Friend's a strong word. More like friendly acquaintances. Guess we both felt the Herald's Rest was one of the few places that made us feel like real people. Couple of drinks and everyone's your friend in that moment. Always up for a chat. Well, it's Victor we're talking about, so it wouldn't surprise me. But Varric can't see how much effort Victor puts into making sure his son has all the tools he needs to take over. He'll go on these rants of Victor drilling him on scenarios. Stuff makes my brain hurt. But Varric talks about it like child's play. He's just used to getting his way and the world revolving around him. When you're raised to be elder, that's bound to bring you all sorts of extra attention. So sometimes when hanging around with us peons, he forgets we have our own thoughts and opinions. Hey, whatever you want.
This city, I can hardly understand what I am seeing.
Two legs, still good to go. All my years and all the planets I've been on, never gonna get used to those things. Sure looks like it. Damn House Varun. Wiping out half their city and bringing in horrors like these. At least I don't see a body around here, so I hope that means Varric's alive. You find anything? Damn. Hate to think he had to take on those things by himself. Well, what's next? Varric must have fled in a hurry since his tracker's still here. So guess the rest is up to us. Sounds like a plan. And hopefully that injury slows him down enough for us to catch up. Let's head back down and see what we can find. And by we, I mean you. If he's injured, he must have left.
That's far enough, strangers. You want to tell me what you're doing on my property uninvited? Through here. You realize you're in the middle of nowhere. I can understand that, but I can't help you. The only people here are my partner Zen and our daughter Mila. No one comes around here. We're isolated, and that's the way we like it. All right, fine.
Irina, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Zen, yes, I know quite well. Never mind my partner, they're just overly cautious. As I said, we're isolated out here. We keep to ourselves. But we did aid an injured young man a few days ago.
That's gotta be Varric.
It's too coincidental. It must have been him. We didn't know and didn't ask. We introduced ourselves, and he quickly changed the subject. But he was polite, and something about him reminded me of our own son, so I didn't feel the need to push him. Casimir Mazur. He left a while back to find work in Dazra. He didn't want the life of a farmer. We haven't heard from him since the incident. We sent him north. There's a long-abandoned growth farm we felt he could make use of. He claimed he lost everything in the incident that swallowed half of Dazra. He wanted to start a new life. We even gave him 2 of our own groats to get started.
Thanks for the help.
All must serve. Good luck in your search.
We thank you for sparing our lives.
Fair journey, outsiders.
Thank you for showing mercy today.
It's been a minute since I stretched the old legs. Nothing going on out here. How about you? Find anything? Sounds like it's a waiting game then.
It seems I have uninvited guests. You want to explain yourselves?
Whoa, hey, it's me. Dang. Put the gun down already.
It's not you I'm concerned about. It's your friend. I wish I could say I was pleased to meet you, but something tells me this isn't a social call. Please, if you're here on my father's orders, allow me to plead my case. I'm glad someone does for once. I am not sure how familiar you are with our culture, but all I've ever wanted was the right to choose. I was born House Veth'aal. I was raised to inherit the role of Elder, to run the Ministry of State, to worship the Great Serpent. But I want none of it.
That's not the life anyone wants.
It's never mattered how much I tried to reason with him. My father simply would not let me go. His pride and the fear of what it would mean for House Veth'aal is all he cares about. You sound as if you speak from experience. I envy you. Sometimes I would give anything for a supportive word from my father. All I want is to make my own life. Something Tane understood and was willing to help me with.
The credits help too, but yeah. We talked about this briefly a while back already, but there's a bit more to it. I lost my ship to the incident, so I didn't want Barrick running off thinking I could just grab him and go. I was also out all the credits he was gonna pay me. That's where you came in. I figured, why not two for the price of one?
So, now you know my true intentions for leaving, and given the circumstances, I may be here for some time. My hope now is to make the best of it here. I suppose I owe you that much. The truth is, the Scaled Citadel was the last straw. My people are so blinded by faith and politics, they don't see how it's destroying us. Anasko Varun eliminated half our population in the blink of an eye. My sister Vashti among them. I could no longer live in a society that won't put its people first. That would destroy itself in the name of a god that has done nothing for us. Perhaps you are lucky then. It's not easy to watch people you love blindly follow a path that leads to their destruction. I hope you can see why I want to walk away from all this. To start my own life. I ask that you give me that chance. Anything. Name it. My ring. Vashti gave it to me. It's all I have left of her since the cataclysm. The disaster took every physical reminder of her except for this ring. Just wiped her from existence. True. It's as if she's looking out for me. One last time. Take it. I'll find solace in the fact that the ring will remain with my family. And now I hope we are done here. Thank you for seeing reason. I owe you both my life and freedom.
Now that's over with. I'm gonna hang back here, talk to Varric a bit. Besides, I don't want to be around when you break the news to Victor. Do me a favor and find me at the Herald's Rest when you're done.
I have literally no experience being a growth farmer, but I'm going to try my best. Vashti knew my heart and mind well. She would understand. I have no doubt. Our father is what would bother her the most. She would have made a far better elder than I, if only he would have listened. But the man refuses to see anyone's truth but his own. I was on my way to see my father at the Halls of Obedience when it happened. I had just crossed Jinan Plaza when I saw the light pulse from the Citadel, and the sound felt like it went right through me. I couldn't help but fixate on the Citadel itself, surrounded by that strange energy. It didn't even dawn on me until later, just how heavy the losses would be. For now, my father won't risk additional resources to confirm my death. That would only reflect poorly on him. Besides, this is just a stepping stone. My ultimate goal is to leave Va'ruun Kai behind. This farm will allow me to prove to myself that I can make it out there.
You made the right choice. Don't you forget it.
Let us speak. You're back. What news do you bring?
What have you done? Varric.
This blood is on your hands, Victor. I hope you remember this. And I clearly said exceptions should be made.
No, it was Varric's choice. He knew the consequences.
You were his father. You were supposed to protect him. You think you are doing what is right out of some blind dedication, but you are destroying this house. You already lost one child. You had to murder the other.
Victoria!
I will not hear any more of this. It is done. Leave us.
Oh, I am leaving to mourn my nephew whose memory you disgrace with your very presence.
Victoria!
Leave her be, Luther. The Great Serpent will guide her. She will understand in time and emerge stronger for it. She will. Ultimately, I care nothing for what you think. Now, only one matter remains to discuss. Did you find anyone who aided my adherent? You're back.
What have you done?
This blood is... And I clearly...
No!
You were... You think you were... You already lost...
Victoria!
I will not hear... Leave us!
Oh...
Victoria!
Leave her be, the Great Serpent. She will. Ultimately, I can... Now, only one matter remains to discuss. Did you find anyone who aided my son in his treachery? Good. I also have heard nothing of my son's disappearance, so I appreciate your discretion in this matter. You restored order to this house, and have my gratitude. Here, the access code that Ekris needs to connect to the power grid. Now go. I have much to arrange.
Victor may not realize it now, but he will regret losing his son. I would allow Victoria her space if I were you. I mostly looked after the House members, trying to take a more active role in the lives of our people. Victor's attention is more administrative focused, so he has little time to deal with personal grievances or requests. Since the destruction, I did all I could to help ease our family's grief. But once Varric left, I turned my focus completely to Victor. I remember the light and a horrible sound. But most of all, I remember Victor's face when he rushed outside to find us. He kept saying it was gone. Disappeared. I'll never forget the moment he took us into the halls of obedience to see the devastation that surrounded the scaled citadel. The heartbreak and horror we felt knowing whatever took Dazra took our house and family with it. All must serve.
You have the codes. See to their delivery. I was at the Hall of Obedience, discussing matters that do not concern you when I first saw it. A strange light emanating from the scaled citadel. It was but a moment later, and light filled the entire room, followed by an indescribable sound, and then silence. House Veth'aal will thrive for centuries to come. I will see to it. There are many of noble blood far more worthy than my own son who would gladly take on the mantle. The Ministry of State maintains the very society of Dazra. We enforce the common goals, that our lives are dedicated to House Va'ruun and the Great Serpent. In order for everyone to contribute, we do not allow for the distractions of disillusion and heresy. Until next time.
All must serve.
Serpent's faith.
Serpent's speed be with you, adherent. Did Victor finally relinquish the access code? Slowly, but it will be much faster if you have the power grid access code. Testing without full power is extremely limiting. Excellent. We'll finally have the resources to fully charge the morning device. Now, let's hope House Steward Kef is as forthcoming as the others. If this doesn't work,